Let's talk about a new signing to the Chiefs practice squad, look at Coach Reid's presser from yesterday, dive into the unofficial depth chart for the Chiefs against the Cardinals this Sunday, and talk about Josh Gordon appearing to turn down the Chiefs practice squad offer, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, aka the red-bearded rascal of entertaining Chiefs info, or sometimes known as Derek Carr's stepdaddy, and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs, so definitely make sure to sub if you're new for some fire Chiefs content all season long. Hit that like button if the Chiefs are indeed winning this Sunday against the Cardinals, and let's get into this video starting with an exciting announcement. I finally launched memberships here on the channel. There are 3 tiers, which is Let's Ride, then Let's Freaking Go, then a Redbeard tier. You knew we had to do that. And these tiers include stuff like member-only live streams, a member-only Zoom call, sub badges, emotes, priority replies, 2 comments, and much freaking more, all that good stuff. Make sure to check it out if you're interested and have been looking for other ways to support the channel by clicking the join button. And if you're not interested, totally fine. You're still going to be getting hella content from me here all season long, almost every single day. So from here, let's get into this video, starting with Coach Reid's presser from yesterday. Per Big Red himself, tight end Blake Bell was officially placed on IR. And as a reminder, Blake Bell was injured in the first preseason game against the Chicago Bears and ended up having surgery on his hip. So with Bell being moved to IR, that means he has to miss at least the first 4 games of the regular season. And I would imagine, being somebody who's had 2 hip surgeries myself, that he misses more than the first 4 weeks. But yeah, the earliest he can come back is week 5. And with Bell out, Andy Reid said in a recent presser that both tight ends Jody Fortson and Noah Gray will step more into Bell's role, though he made it seem like it would more so be Gray rather than Fortson.
Yeah, so both those two are capable of it. We'll mix and match people in. Noah probably did more of it than what Jody did in that particular spot, but they're all going to play. I mean, those are good players. So there's some things we can do with them, mixing personnels in there.
Now, the original goal when moving Blake Bell to IR was to move linebacker Elijah Lee up from the practice squad to the active roster, but there's a chance they may not do that quite yet, at least according to Charles Goldman of Chiefs Wire. He says this, quote, "It's possible they might wait until after the first week of the season as a mechanism to avoid guaranteeing a contract of a vested player. The Chiefs can still elevate 2 players from the practice squad via standard elevation for week 1 if necessary so that they have a full slate of players to choose from. But I also know they don't have to have 52, but they probably should. However, Zach Eisen believes that Elijah Lee could be a game day practice squad elevation in order to not guarantee his contract yet, and they can manipulate the roster numbers for this week and maybe also next week as well. And I'm not entirely sure that's possible with Elijah Lee being a vested vet, but I am not the smartest man in the room. So choose between Charles, Zach, one of the above. We'll find out soon either way. And it's also worth noting that they signed another player to the practice squad yesterday, and in spite of that signing, they still chose not to move linebacker Elijah Lee up, possibly for the reason stated a moment ago, and instead they cut defensive end Azor Kamara, which is a bit of a disappointment to me personally because I liked Kamara in the preseason as he definitely had some noticeable flashes. However, they do have 6 defensive ends on the active roster currently right now, so it makes sense why they would cut Kamara rather than activating Elijah Lee, especially if they're trying to hold off on his guarantees, all that good stuff. But still, a bummer for Kamara for sure. Now, as far as the player they signed, it is former Arizona Cardinals safety James Wiggins. They brought him in for a tryout this past Monday, and it looks like they liked what they saw in Wiggins, or they liked that he previously played for the Cardinals, who they are facing in a handful of days or so, or maybe a bit of both. Wiggins was a 7th-round pick by the Cardinals in the 2021 NFL Draft. The 6-foot, 205-pound former Bearcat and teammate of safety Brian Cook, I might add, didn't make the Cardinals' initial 53-man roster, instead getting signed to their practice squad, remaining there before getting called up in October. He appeared in 3 games and, quote, recorded no statistics. So yeah, that's a bummer. And to make matters worse, Wiggins' knee was giving him problems and he was placed on IR for the remainder of last season. He gave it another go with the Cardinals this offseason and again, didn't make the 53-man roster, was expected to sign with the Cardinals practice squad, but instead signs with Kansas freaking City. Whether or not he will remain, I have no idea, but for now, he's a multi-phase special teamer who joins the practice squad as the third safety on the practice squad roster, along with Zane Anderson and Nazeeh Johnson. So that's 7 safeties right now, if you include practice squad and 53-man roster, and in my opinion, that gives this man little chance of getting activated unless they like Wiggins over Zane Anderson or something like that. Still not super likely for the time being, at least in my opinion. And before I get too ahead of myself here, I want to circle back briefly and touch a bit more on Andy Reid's press conference from yesterday. He said there are no real injuries outside of Bell, which to me means Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Trent McDuffie, and Carlos Dunlap, who all dealt with some form of injuries during the preseason, should all be good to go. Fingers freaking crossed. And as far as the running back room is concerned, Coach said he's not sure at the moment how many running backs they will currently suit up. It could be 3, it could be 4, but whoever does end up suiting up for the team on Sunday will definitely get a chance to touch the football.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes for who's up and who's down. Some of it depends on special teams and play there. But, if they're all up, they'll have an opportunity to touch the football. If they're not, then there'll definitely be 3 of them up, and they'll touch the football.
So, okay, we will find out soon how many will suit up on Sunday, but this unofficial depth chart that the Chiefs released today should help bring a bit of clarity to the running back room and other key positions. Again, this is the unofficial depth chart, so things could definitely change, but here's where things stand currently. For running backs, it's CEH, Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and then Ronald Jones 4th. So if the Chiefs only suit up 3 running backs, that means Rojo won't be playing Sunday. Pacheco's going to get the nod, at least as of right now, because he's listed as the team's starting kick returner. And it's a bit odd to me that Sky Moore is listed as the team's 3rd punt returner when he's the one who saw the majority of the punt returns this preseason. And if McCole is indeed the one catching punts, I would imagine next in line would be Sky Moore and not Trent McDuffie, because we really need to protect McDuffie, in my opinion, as he's one of the team's starting cornerbacks. As far as receivers go, I see Juju, MVS, McCole, and Sky as the top 4. Sky probably being 4, the other 3 being the top 3. Justin Watson at 5. No surprises there to me. For the wide receiver room or the offensive line, you have Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle, Joe Thuney at left guard, Creed at center, Trey Smith at right guard, and Andrew Wiley at right freaking tackle. And for the defense, Mike Dana and Frank Clark are listed as the starters at the defensive end position, though I know Karlaftis and Dunlap will work themselves into the mix as well, so I'm not worried about that at the moment. Derek Nottie and Chris Jones are the starting defensive tackles, and as for the linebacker room, I only see 4, Bolton, Willie Gay, Darius Harris, and Leo Chanel, but again, Elijah Lee may see himself activated from the practice squad on Sunday. We talked about that earlier. We will definitely soon find out about that. I don't see any other surprises on defense, not with the cornerback room, the safeties, none of that. Joshua Williams looks like the next man up after L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, and Rashad Fenton. Then Jalen Watson and finally Chris Lamons would be after Joshua Williams, at least on this depth chart. And the safeties look like Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, Brian Cook, and finally Deion Bush. That's about as far as I'm going to get into this depth chart because it's unofficial, but it should be pretty close come game day. And speaking of pretty close, I found out some interesting news about former Chiefs receiver Josh Gordon. According to Terry McCormick on Twitter, Josh Gordon said the Chiefs wanted to re-sign him to their practice squad, but he liked the opportunity the Titans offered better. And FYI, he trained some in the offseason with Derek the King Henry. So it looks like the Chiefs seemed pretty close to getting him on the practice squad, or at least were willing to sign him to the practice squad. But Gordon turned it down for greener pastures, or Gordon is lying. I doubt he would lie, but either way, what all this means to me is this. Josh Gordon was not confident he would make it any farther than the practice squad here with the Chiefs because the receiving room is deep and there's just a lot of talent there. So my assumption is he felt better about the Titans receiving room, i.e. not as competitive, not as deep, and more than likely thought his chances of seeing actual playing time were better there. And this man is 31 or so and doesn't have all that time in the world left in the NFL. So you got to take advantage of those opportunities as they pop up. And I can't knock the man for that. Understandable. But this just goes to show you that the Chiefs staff did not think Gordon was one of the top 5 receivers. And that includes the wide receiver coach, Joe Blameyer, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, head coach Andy Reid, GM Brett Veach, none of them. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm sure Josh Gordon still has something left in the tank. It's just sadly not going to be here in KC. And here's where I want to pass a couple of questions off to all of you watching. What did you think about Josh Gordon turning down the Chiefs' offer to sign with the practice squad? do my reasons as to why it makes sense to you. What about Coach Reid's presser from yesterday? Anything stand out there? Or how about the Chiefs' unofficial depth chart? Any surprises there to you? Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below, and let's fight about it down there like fans from opposing teams on Twitter per usual. Make sure to leave a bearded comment or super thanks to be featured in an upcoming vid. Sub, like, you know the freaking deal, and check out memberships if you're interested. And then check out this video here. Pew! You like that? Which is a heated debate from Shannon Sharp, who is sharper than mine, and Dipstick Bayless on who the best QB is under the age of 30. I'll cover that tomorrow. Don't you freaking worry. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?